This edition of Freedom Journal Iraq helping Iraqi women overcome obstacles in the business world. And Seabees turn an Iraqi vacation spot into a Marine outpost. These stories and more on today's FJI. Hello, I'm Airman First Class Priscilla Christensen. Welcome to this edition of Freedom Journal Iraq. Reconstruction efforts in Sadr City are helping the residents live a life of normalcy. Petty Officer Aaron Hebner tells us how coalition funds are assisting in the rebuilding process of this once insurgent stronghold.
Task Force Gold is charged with reconstructing Baghdad's Sadr City. In recent months, they've been able to enact dramatic change in the area. However, they only use their funds in coalition forces-controlled areas.
The funding that I have to use is called CERP, Commander's Emergency Response Fund. And so we cannot use CERP money from the American taxpayers to renovate old schools just because they're old and they need renovation. It has to be somehow tied directly to coalition forces operations or improved security.
General Talley went on to say that it will be up to the government of Iraq to reconstruct projects outside of Task Force Gold's area of operations.
It's not that the coalition would not like to help the people of North Iraq Gold. It's just that the taxpayers' money have to be used for one of those conditions.
Coalition forces are not allowed to spend their money in this case, but General Talley serves on an Iraqi Reconstruction Board where he advises Iraqis on what to build and how to build it. Petty Officer Aaron Hebner, Baghdad.
Finding work in Iraq can prove to be a difficult task and even more of a challenge for Iraqi women. Petty Officer Nathan Gomez shows us how coalition forces are stepping up to help the women of Iraq make a living.
The Women's Work Program provides the Iraqi women various ways to find work, whether it be through contracts with the Iraqi and U.S. governments or starting up a business of their own. The program has been around for 4 years now and has been holding conferences like this one throughout that time.
This is probably number 16 or 17. I have been doing this for a long time. I started in January 2005.
There are a couple challenges for the Iraqi woman finding jobs, one being security, which is improving daily, and the other one
the culture of this country that doesn't give the woman an opportunity to compete with the man. So we need to work on, the culture thing. We need to educate men that women can compete with them and have business with them.
One concept for the conference is for the women to show up and meet with other women who have businesses, talk with them, and network. Another goal is for them to meet with the military personnel in charge of the programs to help the Iraqi women.
They're going to get fair and equal opportunity with the United States government when it comes to contracting. We do have a set-aside program in effect for women-owned businesses that we can give them preference on certain commodity purchases, services purchases, and even some construction.
The biggest point Major Cunningham wanted to share was for the Iraqi women to make sure they register with them. That way they can be put in the system.
And we can teach them how to find work, teach them how to work ethically and deliver quality products on time to the right person, and help rebuild Iraq that way.
For Aza Humadi and the rest of the attendees, the goal is to help the Iraqi woman become more independent and provide for themselves. Petty Officer Nathan Gomez, Baghdad.
Seabees assigned to Naval Mobile Construction Battalion 17 are working to convert an area just outside Camp Fallujah that was once used as a vacation resort for the rich and famous Iraqis into a Marine Corps combat outpost. The site will become the combat outpost for Marines and other units assigned to the Al-Anbar province of western Iraq. The Seabees constructed a fire base, Southwest Asia huts, platforms for a communications center, and a training compound. The battalion has been supporting the Marine Corps by providing construction skills for 5 months. In addition to this project, the Seabees of Naval Mobile Construction Compound 17 are involved in several other construction projects across the Al-Anbar province of Iraq. Coming up, Iraqi Army soldiers learn to save lives in combat.
Here's your raid report. A tip from a local citizen led National Police to a cache in the new Baghdad district. The cache included 5 explosively formed projectiles, 3 of which were made to look like rocks or boulders. In Maysan province, Iraq and U.S. soldiers apprehended criminals during an air assault mission. The Iraqi soldiers currently have custody of the 4 criminals. coalition soldiers found a weapons cache during operations in Baghdad's Rashid district. The cache contained an improvised explosive device and approximately 75 pounds of TNT. In Baghdad, coalition soldiers detained an alleged al-Qaeda in Iraq member. The individual is allegedly responsible for attacks against Iraqi citizens and coalition forces. And that's your raid report. I'm Senior Airman Michael Williams.
Here are the latest Operation Iraqi Freedom headlines. General David Petraeus, commander of the multinational force Iraq, says violence has dropped dramatically during the last 20 months. He went on to say conditions may allow for decreased U.S. footprint in the coming months. A Fard al-Qanoun spokesman says the Ministries of Defense and Interior will encompass the awakening councils. The spokesman says their membership records will be transferred from multinational force Iraq to the government of Iraq. Iraq's National Command Center director says Iraqi security forces gained vital information on a terrorist network operating in Diyala and were able to dismantle it. Iraqi EOD teams defused booby-trapped houses and roughly 600 roadside bombs during Diyala operations. Operations are underway to remove squatters from homes. The government says those who fail to voluntarily leave could go to prison. Those are your headlines from around the region. I'm Airman First Class Shaylin Jordan.
A medical emergency can happen at any time in a combat situation, and knowing how to treat combat-related injuries can help save a comrade's life. Specialist Lucas Wysocki shows us how Iraqi forces are getting in on the action during a combat lifesaver course.
Combat lifesavers serve a role in every U.S. Army unit and mission that goes outside the wire. Now, with a little help from Army medics, Iraqi Army soldiers are returning to their units with the knowledge needed to save lives on the battlefield. They are graduates of a 9-day combat lifesaver course supported by the 39th Logistics Battalion, 9th Iraqi Army Division, and their military transition team. The classes began roughly 2 years ago and are very similar to American CLS courses.
2006 is coming as some advisor, U.S. Army, is very perfect. This advisor is meeting with me, Latifa, what you want? Say, I want the soldier Iraqi, same soldier American. Not different.
During their final exercise, the IA soldiers had to react to a simulated attack on a convoy, treating burns, broken bones, and wounds to vital organs, all while reacting to the stresses of a combat environment.
They had to react to enemy fire with the OP-4. They had a sniper up on the roof. They had an RPG kind of simulator guy. So those were their definite obstacles. Another big obstacle is, of course, a language barrier. We've got us yelling at them with 2 interpreters and 2 Iraqi instructors that yell at them as well. So they're getting all sorts of stress, which is what the combat lane scenario is supposed to induce.
The environment where IA soldiers are training with U.S. soldiers mirrors real-world missions that are currently taking place. Having more lifesavers in the field will benefit both forces should the need arise.
You generally have one medic on a convoy of probably 60 people, so those line medics have a big job. So when we train more of these guys, and hopefully their brigades will start giving them more supplies so that they can't carry aid bags themselves on convoys, it'll greatly help if in case of an attack, as far as people who can actually go and save a life, because if someone has a major bleeder or something like that, seconds depend on their life and their death. So having more medics on the battlefield is always a good thing.
Nearly 200 Iraqi Army soldiers have graduated from the class and gone back to their units. With each graduating class, the honor grad is given a formal recommendation to attend the Iraqi Army Medics course, which is very helpful for the soldier's career. Reporting for the 2nd Stryker Brigade Combat Team, 25th Infantry Division Public Affairs Office, Multinational Division Baghdad, I'm Specialist Lucas Wysocki.
That does it for this edition of our program. Check out mnf-iraq.com for all of the latest OIF information. From all of us here at AFN and Freedom Journal Iraq, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.